Okay, welcome. We're going to start after going through the ribbon nodes of Grasshopper all the way through to display. We're going to jump into some plugins, and I thought it would be best in this kind of fourth master script section to start with Lunchbox. So there's a lot of information here and there's a lot of data here because that's what's going to happen with Lunchbox when we start looking at machine learning. And you're going to see how complicated things get pretty quickly, and you have to kind of wrap your hands around it. So what I say is plugins can be simple, can be used simply, and can be delved into on a more advanced level. And that's exactly what I did with Lunchbox. I used a basic, and then I pulled out the scripts that come with Proving Ground, the company that developed Lunchbox, and actually has some incredible examples of using the machine learning. And I pulled a couple from their video tutorial and actually grabbed their scripts and tucked it in here. So I won't spend too much time on them because they deserve the credit, and the research should be going towards their sites as opposed to mine. The key is to understand how they were constructed from the vanilla ribbon nodes that come with Grasshopper for Rhino. That's what I believe. Only then will you be able to start programming, compiling your own plugins that have yet to be created for parametric and computational design, architecture, and engineer. So Lunchbox itself is a pretty interesting thing. Here's a definition of it that comes out of Food for Rhino. It's a plugin for Grasshopper for exploring mathematical shapes, paneling structures, and workflow. We have also introduced new components for general machine learning implementations such as regressive analysis, clustering, and networks, neural networks. So what happens in the original set with Lunchbox, if I grab it here, you'll see you have data, generate, machine learning, maths, panels, structures, utilities, workflows. And of course, there's a lot under each. And once you get into plugins, you're going to move from like 1,000 components in the Ribbon or Grasshopper basics into tens of thousands of components, I believe, or at least 10,000, I would think, because you're dealing with all the plugins and everything that's coming about. Of course, at the time I knew it was like well over 7,000. I'm sure it's doubled since then. So you have within there the panelization and structure creation, the first kind of part of it, of what you can generate. And you'll look in the data, generate, obviously machine learning with Proving Ground, math, panels, structure, utilities, and workflow. So what have I done here? I'm just going to put it on so we only see the geometry we're selecting. I may actually, well, I didn't mean to make myself huge. There we go, shrunk again. Oh, I love the way that jumps around a little too much. What I'm trying to do is just pull my little nose down here a bit and go into perspective view. And I'm pulling from a fellow up in Chicago in the architectural school, Alfonso Paluzzo. I think I got that spelling right, Alfonso Paluzzo. Lunchbox can be used for creating simple paneling and creating architectures. And here's a great example of how to extend plugins. So let's jump in and see what he had done. He created an ellipse and created a secondary ellipse within it, 2 of these. He did one move and he lofted between those 2. Nice little beginning. And you can walk through his tutorials on here. I like the way he categorizes things, keeps things organized as an untrimmed surface. That's what you're dealing with. And then he'll create panels from it. And here you have diamond panels. So you can take that loft and quickly turn it into those diamond panels if you like. You also can grab the hexagon panels if you like. So pretty nice shapes. And this is one of which will produce those cells. And from those, he grabs his panel frames. Another wonderful tool, basic to working within the different panels that come about with this. And here are the panel tools here that he's actually drawing from. And scaling those can be changed to get the inside and out, and you'll see another loft that happens. Really nice parametric control, and Alfonso Paluzzo has some really nice ways of working for his classes. And I know he has thousands of followers, and he's worth taking a look at. I don't want to steal credit from there, but he's using the basic paneling tools to get you up and running with Grasshopper using Lunchbox and just a few lofts. He did get into the diamond grid structure, which was nice. So you start thinking of this maybe for subdivision surfaces, perpendicular frames on there. He blasts as a tool to not only pipe those curves, but to here, take those frames. And if it's looking like that, you're like, what can I do? Well, let's jump in and take a look at plane size and go from 4. Let's go from 4 plane size down to maybe 1, and see if that makes a difference. We start to see all those planes that are playing off of all those areas. So the count is pretty high. I don't think we need to have that high count. You could bring that down and have less, but let's maybe leave it around 20 and see what they were doing with it. The polygons that are that are put on there are basically a way to then lofting those together. So you can have a nice shape that's more of a mesh that moves a lot faster than this pipe tool. And these nodes are what he put at the end of it. So I also would go so far, if you're going to do this and take the polygon from the pipe, you might want to take the sphere, NURB sphere, over to a mesh sphere, which is also an option. You just type in, I think, mesh sphere, and it should be there somewhere. There's a mesh sphere extended, but there's probably a mesh sphere as well. I guess that's it, mesh sphere. And that's one that I actually would use instead of this one. I think I'll just tuck it into the script, add it to group in case you want to use it. So nice little samples. What happened down here is you went back in and did the space truss. I really want to encourage you to look at it so you get a three-dimensional truss that's extended back and forth in truss depth. So this may slow down a little bit. You can see I can pull that right in. He's got an integer value set there, and he pulls a pipe, and he pulls in a sphere. And I think Alfonso Peluso is just beautiful at doing this, and there's a space structure too. And you will be able to build some incredible geometries right away. I'm going to leave it at that, give credit to Alfonso Peluso. Definitely put it into a script here that's a pretty understandable and scriptable. And now we're going to jump into something a little more advanced when it comes to Lunchbox Advanced and dealing with machine learning. A few samples. I've gone so far as to actually go a little nuts and translate one-liner Python, including an intermediate advanced section, into my GitHub and produce one-liner script through the GH-Python remote node, so you can do machine learning on all levels. That got a little outrageous for a while, and I think going back into C# and Visual Studio might be a better answer than trying to pack that in. There has been recent development, obviously, on hops and clustering and building your own functions, and I'm watching that up to the day as to what development's happening with that. So lots to think about, but let's get a taste of Lunchbox beyond these panels and lines and surfaces and spheres and mesh spheres, and let's move into Lunchbox, what can happen. 7 minutes, good little short video. We'll do a second part to 42, 42A, and 42B Lunchbox, intermediate, beginner to advanced.